Hello, happy Wine Wednesday. Lauren Jbara here with Alex Glaze today, breaking everything down because there was a lot of action last night. MLB, NHL. We got week 6 of NFL, week 7 of college football coming up. Lots to talk about. But first of all, Alex, before we start, I want to just ask pulse check on you after that Ravens game from Monday
Oh
night.
my, oh my gosh! It's like I was like dead, and then you seen Game of Thrones when Jon Snow like came back to life like on the table. That's kind of what I was like. The Ravens are gonna take years off my life this season. It just feels like every game is gonna kind of be like that. And I'm good now. It took a couple days to recover, but
Yeah,
geez,
did
what
you
a,
get
what
any
a
sleep? Did you get any sleep that night? Were you up like all jacked up on Mountain Dew?
No, like, so I went to lay down afterward, and my heart was still just, like, going. So
Oh
it
my
took it took a minute. I had to cut on a show, and, it took me a minute to fall asleep there, but, I mean, great game, obviously, but that I don't know. It was the Colts. I underestimated the Colts, and now, what do the Ravens get for, you know, that kinda win? They get to play the Chargers on a short week, so that'll be that'll be a ton of fun on Sunday.
Well, I'm glad you've recovered since then, and we're moving on to week 6. So Ravens squeaked out with a win in that one. You're feeling good. Now we move on to week 6 against the Chargers. We'll see what happens. All right, today we got college football review. Lots happened this past week in week 6 of college football. We're going to break it down, talk about week 7, MLB game 5s. We thought there was going to be a couple more than there are. There's only one game 5 between the Giants and the Dodgers. That's going to be an exciting one. We're talking a little MLB futures as well. And then we can't end without our Pickswise play of the day. So without further ado, let's get it. Let's bet it. College football review. Lots happened this past weekend in the college football world. Let's take a look at some of the top ranked teams and their performances. I want to start this one out, Alex, with Alabama.
Oh
They
my gosh.
they lost for the first time since 2019, out of the top 3 in AP poll since 2019 for the first time. They ended a streak of 100 straight victories over unranked opponents and 24 Nick Saban victories over former assistants. What did you see from that one? And were you expecting that at all?
Absolutely not. It was one of my best bets of the weekend. It was a three-star play on Pickswise. I put that there. I'm gonna wear that one. I did not see that at all. Bama just got absolutely smoked. I've never seen Alabama look worse. And to be honest with you, it was a combination of Bama not playing well and then Texas A&M. Where did that come from? Zach Calzada. He has not looked like that ever. And then, put up 41 points on Bama, and all credit to him. He looked great, and that
Yeah.
A&M offense looked great. But what was Bama doing on defense, on offense? They just didn't look. It didn't look like Bama at all. So
Yeah.
that was really surprising.
Why do you think that they played like that? Like, here's the thing: it's a bad Bama is a good other teams. Do you know what I mean? Like, even Bama playing bad is other teams playing well. Like, that's the same standard, but they weren't playing up to Alabama standard. You're absolutely correct. Where did you see was the biggest shortcoming or downfall of them in that game?
Well, here's the thing. I think that we forget there were high expectations for Texas A&M going into this season, right? So they have the talent on that roster. I just think, and I think we've seen like in the Florida game. I go back to the Florida game for Bama. Maybe that defense just isn't as good as what we think.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it for me. But offensively, I don't know what happened, but I think it was just a matter of just Texas A&M just showing up in a big way. Jimbo Fisher called his shot in the offseason and told Nick Saban that he was going to beat him while he was there, and he delivered. So congrats to Jimbo. That was just a great
Man of
performance
his
by
word.
A&M.
Yeah, man of his word. I'm honestly happy
Yeah,
about it. Texas A&M storming the field after that game. That's what college football is all about, baby. That's what it is all about. Just the love of the sport, the love of your team, the love of your school, seeing everyone rush the field, seeing Alabama go down. Honestly, I was a little happy about it. I feel like a lot of, if you're not an Alabama fan, you're over Alabama at this point, and that's kind of where I was. I liked seeing them lose in that one. I don't
well,
know.
it kind of throws a wrench into things when you talk about the college football playoff picture, because now I think that for Bama, they have to win the SEC championship now, right?
Mhm.
I can't see a two-loss team, even if it is Alabama, getting in the playoff. For Georgia, that means they're probably in regardless if they can go into that SEC championship game without any losses. They can
Yeah,
lose that game and still make the playoff. I just think that does I mean, it just puts a lot of pressure on Bama to win the SEC championship. So we'll see what happens. 'Cause, I mean, maybe just Bama's not as good as we think. I don't know, which
Speaking
is a
of
weird thing to say.
Yeah, speaking of the football playoff picture, Georgia taking number 1. Good team win. I think I was reading this article. It said good teams win, great teams cover. UGA is
Yes.
5-1 against UGA is 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games in their total 6 games this season. And I think Georgia's defense, they're not just good. They're probably one of the best defenses we've seen in college football in the last 10 years. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. 33 points allowed in 6 games. All 6 of those games were wins. And no one has scored more than 13 points on Georgia. 2 teams scored nothing at all. So when you look at this Georgia team this season, they're an absolute powerhouse, and I don't really see many weaknesses in them.
I mean, that's a great win for Georgia to win the way they did on the road at Auburn. I mean, that's a tough place to go in and win, let alone dominate. That's exactly what Georgia did. Since I called out my miss on the Bama best bet, I did hit my other best bet, which was the under for that Georgia Auburn game. It was a sweat. It was a sweat, but it was a win nonetheless. But I mean, Georgia, I mean, yes, they've been winning, and they've been covering, but it's just how they've been able to do it. Just that nasty defense, like you said, and just dominance. I mean, what Kentucky, the 11th ranked team in the
Yeah.
country, and what are they? What is it? A 22-point line? I mean,
I think it was
Georgia's getting
23.
Georgia's getting. I mean, it's a ridiculous number. I mean, that just shows you the separation that the odds makers see between Georgia and a top team in the country in Kentucky.
Absolutely. I know. I was actually reading an ESPN article about it, and it was trying to point out Georgia's worst flaw, and it said they still haven't had to score yet. I said, well, you don't really have to score when you have a defense that's playing like that, right?
Well, here's the other thing too. I think that this maybe is going unnoticed in all the dominance that defense has had. JT Daniels hasn't been playing the past couple of weeks, and Stetson Bennett, he's come in. I mean, he looked good against Auburn. He did what he had to do against Arkansas. If he comes in and he has to play this week against Kentucky, how does Kirby Smart handle that situation? I don't think you can take the ball out of Stetson Bennett's hands at that point, even if JT Daniels is the better quarterback. Stetson's rolling right now.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun week to see what they're doing here in week 7. All right, I want to move on to Penn State because obviously they suffered a huge loss against Iowa. Jared was really sad, upset about it, obviously, rightly so. I want to talk about a little bit about Sean Clifford because Penn State has a bye week now in week 7, and it probably couldn't have come at a better time. Sean Clifford was injured during the Iowa game, and there's uncertainty about his immediate future and the passing game of the Penn State offense. So are you going to avoid betting Penn State until you kind of know what Sean Clifford has, or do you like Taquan Roberson coming in and what he was able to do? Because I think that he's young. We saw his inexperience, right? He needs a little bit more seasoning. So I don't know if he's going to be the guy to lead this Penn State offense to what could be a phenomenal season.
Well, I would maybe walk that back a little bit because we also have to consider he was coming in on the road against one of the best defenses in the country. I mean, Iowa has one of the better defenses in the country, so that was a tough spot for Taquan to come in. I probably would wait to see just what's going on with Sean Clifford, and I would also probably wait to see what Taquan Roberson is and who he is and what he brings to that offense, because I don't think what we saw in the Iowa game is a fair representation or a fair sample size to take and say that's who he is. We need to fade him, or we need to, I don't think that's fair. I would probably wait and see what's going on and how he looks if he does have to step in Penn State's next game.
Well, they do have a bye week this week, so that's going to be good to give them a little time to mentally and physically relax and recover after that tough loss against Iowa. Do you think that Taquan lacks that experience right now, or do you really think hey, this could be the guy if Sean Clifford's out? I know you were talking about Iowa's defense, but at the same time, you look at their schedule coming up. They have Michigan, they have Michigan State. They have a tough slate of games ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the best experience is game experience, right? So, I mean, for me, I think the best way to get that experience is kind of just baptism by fire. And that's exactly what he's about to get, when we talk about these Big Ten defenses that he's about to face. There's no real time for – I mean, the bye week, like you said, couldn't have come at a better time because he at least is going to have that time to get up to speed and at least prepare as if he's going to be the starter. So I think that is going to be valuable for him. But I mean, it's going to be a tough road. I mean, the Big Ten's not an easy conference.
Speaking of baptism by fire, Oklahoma benches Spencer Rattler and wins the
Yeah.
game. Keep Rattler in, or do you let a guy like Williams take over going forward? Because this is the second straight year that Spencer Rattler was benched during the Red River Showdown, and it was the largest comeback in the history of the rivalry in this game with Williams at the helm. So what do you think about that quarterback matchup?
I mean, we're talking about young quarterbacks. Caleb Williams, one of the best young quarterbacks probably in the country, and I think we all saw that on Saturday against Texas. I think that you have to roll with him, as tough as that might be for Lincoln Riley. I mean, Spencer
Yeah.
Rattler's been wildly inconsistent. He's been booed by his home fans. It's tough to see what you got in Caleb Williams in that Texas game. And make no mistake about it, he's the reason why Oklahoma won that game, why Oklahoma still has a shot at making the college football playoff. And why we're still talking about Oklahoma, it's because Caleb Williams came in there and won that game for them. I don't think you can take the ball out of his hands right now until he does something to make you put the ball back in Spencer Rattler's hands. I would roll with him.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley did say this week in an article that he's going to continue to evaluate these guys as they practice and go with whoever he thinks is going to help them win this weekend. Is that just coach speak for,
Absolutely.
hey, yeah, we're going to give Williams the ball, but we don't want to announce that Rattler's not going to be the starter yet? Or is it, hey, we're still just trying to figure out what's going on?
I mean, it's coach speak, just so you don't want to tip your hand and show the other, whoever you're about to play, what you don't want to allow them to plan for just Caleb Williams or just Spencer Rattler. You're going to make them prepare for both. But I think that is the right approach, because I think that you do have to still prepare Spencer Rattler to play, because, like I said, Caleb Williams is a freshman. He could come in and, maybe he doesn't have the best start next time, and you got to turn back around to Spencer. So I think that moving forward, Lincoln Riley's, it's going to be like a 2-quarterback situation at worst. And you know what they say, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you got no quarterbacks. So I would go with Caleb Williams right now, because I think he's a pretty good quarterback.
Really quick on Spencer Rattler. For a guy like that, I mean, these kids, we have to remember they're kids. They're college students, right? And yeah, they're still young, even though they had 3-4 years of experience playing at the college level. They're still kids. How does that mentally impact someone like Spencer Rattler, who at the beginning of the season was basically the top pick for the Heisman Trophy this year? How does that mentally affect a player like that, knowing that you're being benched basically for not performing?
That's an interesting question. And I think we're going to find out. I don't think I can answer that right now. I think we're going to find out how that affects him, because you have to remember too, we're in an era right now of young quarterbacks that have grown up with the spotlight on them since they started playing the game. I mean, this is a guy that was featured on the Netflix series QB1, right? I mean, Spencer Rattler has been the guy his whole life, and now he's not the guy. So does he work harder to get that back, to prove that he deserved to be one of those guys that was considered one of the better quarterbacks going into the upcoming NFL draft? Or does he just fold under the pressure that I don't think he's felt before, getting passed over for another guy?
Yeah, I know. It's going to be really interesting to see, and also keeping an eye on who's going to be starting under center this coming week against TCU at home. Week 7, they're playing TCU on home turf. It's going to be really, really fun to watch. All right, I want to get into our best college football picks of the week, or pick, I guess. If you could narrow it down to one pick that you feel extremely, absolutely, 1,000%, 100,000% confident in, what would it be? Hit me with it.
Okay, let's keep in mind it's Wednesday. So it's still early in the week. But the one that stands out, the one that stands out to me right now is Michigan State -4.5 against Indiana. Michael Penix Jr. Could potentially be out. He's dealing with, I believe, an AC sprain in his throwing shoulder. So if he's out, that's definitely something to keep an eye on there if Indiana's playing with a backup quarterback there. Because not only has Indiana's offense struggled to score this season, they've struggled to move the ball offensively.
Yeah.
And they're pretty much middle of the road in every offensive stat when you look at, compare them to other Big Ten teams. And on the other side, Michigan State, they've just been rolling and they've been dominating teams. So I'll lay the 4.5 points, even though Michigan State's on the road there, just right now, because we don't know what's going on with Indiana's quarterback situation.
I like that. talk about bold, laying 4.5. Guess what? I'm being a little bit bolder. Like my coffee a little
What you
bolder.
got? What you got? What you got?
Georgia laying 23.5 against Kentucky, and I feel absolutely
Oh man.
1,000% confident about it. Georgia comes in boasting, like we talked about before, one of the best defenses in the SEC and ranks in top 10 in most stats across the FCS. I was saying they shut out 2 teams. They've only allowed 31 points through 6 games, and the most points a team has scored against them is 13. Yeah, we talked about their offense a little bit, but they're still playing well offensively despite people saying that they haven't had to score yet. I look at Arkansas. Arkansas is a really good team. The fact that they lost 37-0 says something, right? Georgia's defense is allowing 4.6 points per game. Just let that wrap in. That's less than a touchdown per game averaging this season through 6 weeks. And the ground game continues to be a dominant factor in Georgia's season. I mean, they're rushing 57% of the time this year. I think that Georgia's going to dominate any middle tier to lesser SEC team. And Kentucky, in my opinion, is one of those teams. So I feel extremely confident that Georgia is going to cover the 23.5 points. We'll see how I feel at the end of Saturday. But right now, in this moment, again, you said it's Wednesday. I'm riding this till I die. Ride it till you die.
Okay.
How do you feel? What do you think? What do you think?
That's a huge number. That's a huge number. Especially what's the total for that game? That total's got it. I mean, it's under 50.
Yeah, I don't know what the totals are.
So I mean, that's just a really big number, but I don't hate your reasoning for it. I just think that Kentucky defense is pretty good. So I'm not so sure Georgia's going to be able to move the ball to cover that number. But again, I don't know how much Kentucky's going to be able to do offensively. So 23.5 points. That's what you said. I mean, that's too rich for my blood. But I mean, listen, you do this.
We gotta risk
you
it
do
for
this.
the biscuit. So we're gonna risk it to have some biscuit. All right. I don't even know what that means, but you know what? Hey, we're rolling with it, and we're rolling into MLB, Major League Baseball, because there was a lot of game 4s yesterday. I thought we were going to roll over into quite a few game 5s, but let's go through right now where the playoff picture stands. So the Red Sox clinched the ALCS on Monday. They knocked the Rays out, which I don't think anyone was expecting. I mean, I had the Rays World Series future at plus 950 that I've been holding on to since basically May. So did you expect that at all? The Rays getting knocked out by the Red Sox?
No, I mean this is that's really surprising to me. And just not so much that they knocked them off, just the way they did it too. Like, I mean, they were pretty much taking BP. I mean, that is a Red Sox team that I think has been overlooked by a lot of people. So I mean, good for them. But I mean, just shocking to see what they did to the Rays.
And then there's Astros. They won yesterday. They knocked off the Chicago White Sox, clinched the ALCS. So those two teams, Red Sox.
Nobody wants to see the Astros. Nobody wants to see the Astros.
I mean, the Astros are. Yeah, the Astros are in the ALCS for the 4th time in the last 4 years. So pretty incredible stuff. They're going to be taking on the Red Sox. That will be a really exciting ALCS matchup. On the other side, the Braves won last night, or I guess yesterday day. It was a 5 p.m. Eastern time game. So daytime,
evening,
dusk, a dusk game. And they won in front of a home crowd against the Brewers. They clinched the NLCS, so they're moving on to the next round. And then we got the battle of the California teams. We had the Giants and the Dodgers. I took Giants money line last night. Didn't work out in my favor, but I'm still riding the Giants high. So series tied at 2-2. Dodgers won last night. Giants heading back to home turf for game 5. And I'm feeling pretty good about this one. So this is the only game 5 that we have so far in the MLB playoff picture. Who do you like and why?
Okay, well, this is probably pretty This is probably pretty square, but I'm going Dodgers money line.
Okay.
I'm doing that because I just like Julio Urias a lot more than I like Logan Webb, just because of the postseason experience. Urias is a guy that shut down the Giants in game 2. I think he went 5 innings, had 5 strikeouts, and only gave up 1 earned run, I believe. So I'm rolling with the experience there because, I mean, this is, listen, both teams back against the wall. must-win game. I like what Julio has been doing this season and in this spot. He has yet
Yeah.
to fold really in the situation that the Dodgers are in right now. He's been here before, so I'm rolling with the Dodgers money
Okay, well, I'm running with the Giants money line. So,
line. I knew that was coming.
I mean, we can't have a show without us arguing at least once, right? I'm riding
We
high.
always go. We're always on opposite sides.
I know. I kind of like it though. It makes for a more fun show. I love it. The Giants. I've been rolling with them basically since I realized that they can't be stopped. 107 wins on the regular season. They're one of the highest scoring teams in the league. They rank 6th with 104 total runs this season. 83 home games. They've scored 4.7 runs per contest, which would have gotten them the win last night. San Francisco, they're not favored for the first time in a while, and they haven't been the underdog in the last 10 games. So I like the Giants in this one. I've been riding the Giants high and also getting into World Series odds too. The Giants right now, the highest price that actually Jared texted me this morning is at Caesars plus 475 for the Giants to win the World Series. And so I'm putting some money on it right now because I think when, and I'm not saying if, when they win tonight tomorrow night against the Dodgers, their odds are going to drop by 200 probably. So I like them plus 475 to win the World Series. I like their money line at minus 122. And I guess
you're just all in on the Giants.
I don't even have any chips right now, but I do have a couple pens around me. I'm putting them all in, dropping my chips in, all in on the Giants right now, feeling good about it. Yeah. I mean, when we're looking at the World Series futures, Alex, I want to talk a little bit about,
Sure.
Obviously the Astros are the favorites right now. And I have the FanDuel numbers here. Astros plus 180, Dodgers plus 380, Giants plus 410, and Red Sox plus 450. Well, the Caesars has Giants at plus 475, which I really like that price. Where do you see the most value out of these 4 teams? And who are you putting money on to win the World Series in a couple weeks?
We'll see the team you left off one. Braves plus 600, I believe, on FanDuel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you forgot to mention.
Oh my gosh!
No. You forgot to mention them, and that's fine because that's my pick.
Yeah, I'm living in Atlanta. How dare I do that?
That's exactly why. Because quietly, it's like, how have the Braves been able to do this, right? I mean, their ace Mike Soroka hasn't played all season. He ruptured his Achilles. An NL MVP candidate, Ronald Acuna, their big bat, has been out for a long time with a torn ACL. I mean, you forget Marcell Ozuna, had a domestic violence situation, and he hasn't been playing for a long time for the Braves either. I mean, this is a team that was under 500 halfway through the season, and then this second half of the season, they just came back to life, and now they're doing everything well. They're rolling. The starting pitching strong. The bullpen strong. The offense is strong. I mean, why not put some money on the Braves right now? I mean, I know that what in the regular season, I think they went 3-3 against the Giants and 2-4 against the Dodgers. So either way, whoever wins that series is going to be favored against the Braves. But I mean, so were the Brewers, and you saw. I mean, they should have swept the Brewers. I think so. I mean, the Braves have been dominant for a long time, and they're not getting enough respect from me. So I would probably put that in right now before that Dodgers Giants series finishes up at plus 600 on FanDuel. I mean, that's great value for me.
I can't believe I forgot them. I'm sorry.
Everyone's forgot. No respect for the Braves. I get it.
No respect. I'm saying no respect. No, honestly, I feel bad about it. I'm putting some money on the Braves just because I forgot them. So I got the Giants and I got the Braves. I love it. I mean, I'm hedging my bet a little bit, but hey, you know what? One of those teams is making it to the World Series at that point once the Giants win tomorrow night in Game 5. So I'll put some money on both those teams. I'm looking forward to it. All right, we can't end the show, Alex, without our Pickswise play of the day. Are there any 3-star bets on the Pickswise website today?
There are not any 3-star plays on the Pickswise website. First time I've done a show and there haven't been any 3-star plays. So there's too much going on. Everyone's spread thin. We're only giving the best.
We don't have a 3-star bet. We're not going to give a 2-star bet and make it a 3-star bet. We're not half-assing it for any of our listeners. So we're going with no 3-star bet today because only the best for you guys. Only the best for you from us here at Pickswise. I love it. All right. We got our best bets, though. Who do you got for tonight, your best bet of the day?
All right. I'm going to the ice, and I'm going with the Washington Capitals Money line. The Caps are home. They had one of the best offenses in the league last year. And DC is just a place where the Rangers just don't win. They're 2-8 and they're past 10 trips to DC. So I'm going to roll with the Caps in this one. But I do have to make a quick point here. I wouldn't normally do this, but because I have hit 4 straight plays of the day, I want to make sure that I keep my record intact. If Alex Ovechkin doesn't play tonight, this doesn't count. This does not count. Can I add that amendment? This does not count if Ovi doesn't play.
But if you lock in a bet, it's locked in.
I'm not locking this in until right before puck drop. So we'll know if Ovi's going to play. I'm gonna throw that in there right now so I can get this amendment so that I can either keep my O or I'm going to take my L, and I'm going to earn that L if I'm going to take it tonight. So I need Ovi on the ice for this pick to count.
So basically, if Ovi's not on the ice, you're just forfeiting and just taking the L as it is.
No. If Ovi doesn't play, there's no play for me.
Okay.
If Ovi doesn't play, there's no play.
Okay, we'll go with that, Alex. We'll go with it. I'll allow it. I'm also taking it to the ice, and I'm going back to my team that I love from the bottom of my heart, the Colorado Avalanche puck line, -1.5 at +114. They had a disappointing end of the season last year that I was a part of, and the last 3 years they were knocked out in the second round. It was announced this week, I think yesterday or the day before, that Nathan MacKinnon tested positive for COVID, no symptoms, but he is out for the next couple of games. And I think that that's why things have shifted a little bit in terms of the puck line and in terms of the money line as well, because I mean, that's the Avs' best player. That's their first line center. But the depth of this Colorado Avalanche squad is exceptionally strong. This is why they're favored to win the Stanley Cup this season. And this is why they found so much success the last couple of years. There have been a slew of injuries over the last 2 years. And it's always been the next man up mentality. They've been able to fill that. I think Nazem Kadri will probably maybe step up into that first line center position, maybe stay in the second line. And they'll move a guy like Alex Newhook or put JT Compher in that first line center. But this Avs team has strong scorers. Mikko Rantanen, Gabe Landeskog, Andre Burakovsky, Nazem Kadri, and that's just to name a few. They know how to find the back of the net. So even without Nathan MacKinnon, there are guys that can gel together and really make this happen. So I think that they're going to win by 2 or more goals against the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. I have their puck line +114, and you can't tell me that's not the right answer to that question, because
I like it. I like it. And our producer Jack says amendment passed. So we're good. We're good.
All right, guys. I guess the boss has spoken. The boss has spoken. We're going to see how our best bets pay off tonight. I love that we can take it to the ice. I love that NHL is back. Makes me so excited. NBA right around the corner, which makes me even more excited. And then we got postseason baseball, and we're right in the thick of things with football. So
best time of the year,
Alex. Life is good.
Best time of the year. Yeah.
Best time of the year. Gotta love fall. All right, that's it for us today. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter, Alex Glaze, the Glazer Laser. I'm Lauren Jbara. I don't have a nickname for myself. That's okay. Best of luck tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it.